All right, here's our shout out for this episode. Thanks to our follower, INL Coffee Roasters. Welcome to the K-Drama Show with Ashley and Kim.
That's Ashley.
That's Kim. We're here to recap and relive the final episode of GyeongSeong Creature 2 with you, our listeners.
And we're going to jump right in, so full warning, spoilers are ahead. So if you haven't watched the episode yet, make sure you go do that before you listen to this episode of our podcast. I don't know what that was. It's okay. But anyway,
here for it.
Today's episode is titled Marginal Man, Between Benevolence and Exploitation. A very befitting title.
Mm-hmm.
But without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Welcome to the K-Drama Show. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Kim.
We're here to unpack your all-time favorite Korean dramas and chat about all the reasons that we find these shows so charming.
And so addictive. And we know you do too, so settle in with some ramen and a boba tea while we dive into the K-Drama Show with Ashley and Kim.
Oh, this episode's gonna be so fun. Not like an exciting fun, but there's just so much to talk about with this episode. I remember messaging you after I finished it and being like, Kim, I have feelings about the last episode.
Feelings. I'm in my feels.
Well, because I knew you hadn't watched it yet, so that's why I was like, I have feelings. Like, I couldn't be like positive negative.
Or negative feelings.
I just had feelings about it, and I couldn't like express them yet.
I'm so sorry I made you hang on for this long. My husband said if we get 1,000 followers.
I thought it was 100.
Was it 100?
It was 100.
You're like, don't.
No, because he said if you get 100, he would make an appearance, right?
Yeah, he would do making my husband react to a K-drama.
Like the whole K-drama?
We could probably get away with the first episode.
Or we could do a movie.
But I don't watch Korean movies, so I wouldn't know.
We could do Officer Black Belt.
Really, the only one I've seen is Parasite, and that traumatized me, so. Anyway. It was terrifying.
So anyway, yes, your husband, 100 followers, agreed to do a react.
Yeah. Also, for our 1-year anniversary, I have a special shumshin planned, so
HoJae.
We'll have a little bit of a different setup for that.
Okay.
So come prepared.
Just
for
tell me
what? You won't know.
Tell me what to bring, if anything.
Your laptop.
Okay.
Okay.
Quick plug for the Ashley Tea. Find it on Instagram at the KDrama Show. We also are doing shout outs of anybody who has followed us on Instagram. So you have to give us a follow, or alternatively, you can comment, interact with us on YouTube. But please follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Chat with us.
We'd like to hear from you. We don't feel so lonely.
Please.
Lonely.
I'm Mr. Lonely. I'm not going to finish that. It's too depressing.
We're just going to skip the recap today and jump right in. If you want to know what happened in the first 6 episodes of season 2, make sure you go listen to those on our
platforms.
On our podcasts. Do you know I have a podcast? Because I'm a podcaster who does podcasting. I am a content creator.
I'm going to make you a shirt that says I am a content creator.
Not a creator, creator.
My bad. I will literally have create and then the TOR in really, really big font.
Please do. Okay.
And that is happening 10 years from never.
Throwback to season 1.
And
we
2.
gotta get this done. Okay, episode 7, Marginal Man, Between Benevolence and Exploitation. This first topic we called Conscience. So we are in a flashback. Mm-hmm. And it is SeungJo and Taesung. And he's asking, what's gonna happen if you fight but you can't win? And Taesung says, I am not fighting to win. I'm fighting so that they don't forget what they did to us. To let them know that those who remember are still alive. To make them feel sorry. If they don't feel sorry, to make them feel guilty at least. And if they don't feel guilty, then to be a nuisance and keep them on edge. So SeungJo counters that this is all in the past, and people didn't have a choice back then, referring to Onsong. The times were such, some had to do what they could to survive, but it's also a human thing to right the wrongs. If you don't bother to make an effort, the world will be much more terrible. SeungJo then asks Taesung how much he trusts him, and Taesung says that there is no how much in trust, there is just trust. And we hear SeungJo say, I wish I hadn't met him, because then I wouldn't have had a problem with becoming a monster. But SeungJo tells Chaeok that he wishes that he could be more like Taesung, to be human and act human, but he was simply a monster with no sense of guilt. He kills and feeds when he's hungry and finds pleasure in it. And Chaeok asks if he knows how his mother died. And SeungJo says, it's all in the past. Lady Maeda is the one who raised and protected me. But Chaeok says simply that he had been used his whole life. And he counters that he used her in order to survive, speaking about Lady Maeda. And then he says to Chaeok, you need to die for Taesung's sake. And as he moves to strike her, Detective No shoots him in the head, which gives Chaeok just enough time to escape. And she says to him, Mr. Jong will be very disappointed to learn that you've become a monster. She grabs Detective No, who's busy panicking about how SeungJo is still alive. And as the Kukuros start to flood the scene, Chaeok tells Detective No that she needs to run if she wants to live. But SeungJo's become collateral. And when he removes his hand, his wound mirrors the wounds that he's been giving countless people over the last several decades, with one eye missing.
Well, and what's unfortunate about all of this is we get a flashback amongst that, where Lady Maeda is ordering SeungJo to bring Taesung to her, because it is going to be Taesung that will kill Chaeok. That is what she wants. She wants both of them brought to her because she wants Taesung to feel the same type of loneliness. And, awful that she's projecting what she wants.
Yeah. She needs,
Misery loves company.
Misery loves company, yeah. She needs to feel in control because she can't make him love her.
Right.
But she can make sure that he doesn't
He's
forget her.
just as miserable, right.
But topic number 2 is called Counterstrike.
So, as the Kukuros are just trying to destroy SeungJo, Chaeok, despite the fact that the Najin is asleep, she still can fight them off. She's still a very good fighter. She's done that her entire life. But Chaeok gets Detective No in her car so that Detective No can actually escape. And as Chaeok tries to run away, Korean Drac shows up, and there's no way that we're getting out of this. But Taesung and Scary Dude are still fighting, and he finds the pen that's the injection that Scary Dude has dropped. And they both look at it, but Taesung is much faster.
Wait.
Yes.
First he takes a katana to the chest.
Oh, yes,
and then
there's that too.
Pisses him off so much that he's just like, nope. And he breaks it off while it's still inside his chest.
You're right, because then doesn't he throw Scary Dude?
Yeah, he just ragdolls him into the infrastructure.
He's
It's like, okay.
very terrifying right now.
I think that katana in his chest hit just a little bit too close to home with the whole Lady Maeda thing that happened in Moonlight Bar all those years ago. He's like,
I'm not doing this again.
Not today.
But Scary Dude tells him that Lady Maeda's goal is to kill everyone around him so that Taesung is left alone. At this point, Taesung is holding him, and he's holding the pen, right by his neck, and Scary Dude tells him, I don't care who wins. I'm just waiting for your fight to be done, but wouldn't this injection be a lot of help?
Yes, it would. Now that you mention it. We couldn't have decided this, a couple of days ago. Okay, well. Topic 3, the cost of a life. We see Yeonggil begging for Taesung's life after his initial rising against Lady Maeda a year ago. And he is bowing on all fours in front of her, and he says that he will take responsibility for HoJae. And then without looking at him, she asks if he's going to stake his life on this, and he says that he will as long as HoJae is allowed to live. And when Yeonggil goes to HoJae, who is sitting in one of those cells down in JeongSeong Biotech, he sees that the Najin has been surgically removed from his neck, and he's been stitched up. But at the end of this memory, Yeonggil awakens in the hospital, and we see that the captain is rushing to him from the police station. But the police plant also learns that Yeonggil is awake. So the captain sees plant as in the guy that's not supposed to be there, not like a house plant. The captain sees a car in his rearview mirror and is taken out by a dump truck while on the phone with Detective No. And Scary Doo gets a call saying that Lady Maeda seems to have caught on to the plan because the caravan was attacked and Jong Hyuk is now missing. But Taesung is now inside of JeongSeong Hospital. Biotech. Woo! Been waiting for that one. But he is...
Same place.
Yeah. Same difference. But he's walking the halls of the prison that once held his people. But in the observation room, he is greeted by Lady Maeda, and she tells him that his easy entry was just a favor between friends. We flash back to HoJae after he's recovered from the incident a year ago, but without his memories. And he walks out a door past a woman who's just staring at him, and he glances at her and then just continues on. And it was Lady Maeda. She can't bear the fact that he no longer remembers her. And she says, "It felt lonelier than I thought to be erased from your memories." And he counters with, "If you knew how I remembered you, it would have been better to leave my memory erased." She then says that it's better to have painful memories than no memories at all. And he says, "You are no longer pain to me. You are repulsive." Lady Maeda asks if all human lives are equal, and does he feel the same way about Cheok's life? And this gets his attention. Lady Maeda has created a game. Little jigsaw psychopath. The captain, Jonghyuk, and Yeonggil's lives, or Cheok's, which will it be? Cheok will be placed in a water tank and have her Najin removed and face drowning, while his friends face the creatures from the experiments. She says, "I merely want to see for myself whether you speak the truth and whether your word would apply here. What do you think? Do you think all human lives are the same? Are they equal?" That brings us to topic 4, conviction.
Well, amongst that is when he just goes, "Why do you have to take things so far?" Which is when she's like, "This is just an experiment. I want to see if you will stand with what you believe," which is so messed up when you know the emotional ties that he has to all of these people.
When I say psychopath, I don't say that to be funny. I mean that she actually has no
remorse, no desire to differentiate.
People are playthings, and
right.
This is her satisfying her curiosity.
Truly insane. But in this moment, Taesung gets closer to her and then stabs her with that pen injection, causing her to have her Najin fall asleep. Cheok has found that there's Korean Drax and his group behind him, but she still tries to escape because she is Cheok and will do everything she can to get out, but she gets caught and thrown down. Taesung, after he is stabbed, Lady Maeda is fighting off the Kukros and works on breaking the glass below him because his friends are down below with the creatures.
This was such a good scene.
This was like superhero movie level of awesome.
Hey, he is an Eternal. No, is he? Is it the Eternals? No, it's the other one.
Inhumans? No, he's in Captain Marvel. Because Captain Marvel visits whatever world that he's a part of, and he's a prince on that world, but he's still like a warrior and whatever else. But yeah, this was like super cool of like how he broke the glass. And
I thought you were going to say Superman, and you went with super cool.
Unpopular opinion, and that might get me thrown out. I don't like Superman.
Why?
He's annoying.
What do you mean annoying?
Bro.
We're going to hash this out just a second. What do you mean annoying?
One, glasses. That's the only thing that you can use as your identity, like to cover you up. Okay. Whatever. Fine. But it's a rock. A rock is your undoing. And yet somehow everyone has access to this rock and you're an alien. You can't be cool. Like, Batman's cooler than you. He's just a rich guy that likes to help people. He's a little crazy, but it's just a rock that takes you down. And everybody somehow has access to it. No, I can't do it.
But there are other rocks that amplify other things.
No, but his is a rock that comes from another planet, and yet everybody has access to this freaking rock.
Because an asteroid probably hit at some point.
I think it's dumb. He's the one superhero that, like, I have a really hard time liking.
The one.
Well, Captain Marvel's a different story. She's just annoying. She abandons Earth because of a bet.
Okay, you don't have a problem with Spider-Man? Spider-Man?
I hate spiders. I am absolutely terrified of them. But he's a cool superhero.
He got bit by a spider.
I'm aware.
And now he shoots sticky things out of his hands.
I'm aware. He's still cooler. Way cooler.
Oh my God.
I know. That's why I was like, this could get me thrown out. I'm aware. This is a Superman household.
No, it's just...
he's not one that I like.
I feel like you're hating on him because you think he's overrated.
He is overrated, but that's not why I don't like him.
We'll have this discussion later. What were we talking about? I'm so derailed.
Taesung breaking the glass like a superhero. I'm sorry.
Okay, you know what makes Superman cool? Is the fact that he could, like, destroy the whole world, but he doesn't. The thing that makes him cool is his restraint. And, like, the level of restraint that he has to exercise in order to not, like, end the whole world. But he also has, like, this whole moral conundrum where he could, like, run everything and probably would do better at it than we're doing because he's really, really smart, too.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't because he believes in... It's fine. That may have, like, caused a rift in our friendship I didn't expect.
That's why I said I will probably get thrown out. Unpopular in this house.
No, you won't get thrown out. You'll just get
shamed and
re-educated.
Good luck.
Hey, Superman the movie comes out in the summer.
I didn't know they were making another one.
Yeah, the guy's name? David Cornsweet. Cornsweet. It's like he was born for the role.
What?
Okay, but he's super cute. It's fine. Wow, we gotta get through this. Okay.
Okay, Taesung breaks the glass like a superhero. And as he falls through, because he's taken, he's been punching the glass, and then takes a Kukuros, and just uses him as the final breaking point. Yoongo yells at him and says that he shouldn't have come down. And Taesung looks at him and tells him, yeah, well, I've done this before. Chaeok, after she's been beaten even more, is told to give up. And her only question and her only thought is Taesung okay? Scary Dude walks up and tells her that Taesung has chosen to save his other friends over her, and he's going to die in the process. Why didn't you just run away? And Chaeok looks at him and tells him that just like those who have their reasons to live, they have their own reasons to choose to die for one another. What she fears is far worse than death. What's worse than being alone and unable to die? Scary Dude looks at her and tells her that she has such pretty eyes, and then proceeds to throw her into the wall.
It's also what I do when I think people have pretty eyes. Topic 5, turning the tide. As the creatures close in, Taesung is fighting to buy some time for the men to cut their ties loose. They all rush toward the door, nearly getting the metal window frame that had fallen from the ceiling thrown through their heads. But Taesung makes his final stand after getting his friends clear as Lady Maedo looks on. Chaeok is now in the water tank. Her hands are bound with chains as Scary Dude and Korean Drax are watching. And the tank is set to 18 degrees, which they are told will put her to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
The giant creature is quite formidable, but Taesung And Taesong is cornered. He's hiding behind like a pillar as it's sending its tentacles at him. But he finally takes a tentacle to the chest as the creature is drawing him in for a nice little brain tickle, using his mouth tentacle. Blech. But he looks the creature in the eye and he basically says, "Enough. I know you're in pain too." And he says this in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And the creature withdraws to Lady Maeda's horror.
Which, quick pause.
Yes.
You had wondered about hive mind when we
I
watched
did.
the
trailer.
the trailer for this.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So this basically just proves your theory that there is hive mind. We got an answer.
This is my end of breakfast club. Wow.
Like I've like thought
That
that
raises
this
so many new questions.
like because I realized that like in the rewatch, but then I was like, as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that's like, ding, light bulb.
Interesting.
So there's some form of
Yeah,
hive mind.
Either hive mind or telepathic communication. But either way, we need to explore this more. Lady Maeda up above, she hits a button on the wall and it fills the containment area below with nitrogen gas, which traps Taesong in with the creature. And then I proceed to call him HoJae. HoJae launches himself off the creature's back as it's hunched over toward the opening in the ceiling where he had fallen through, and he hoists himself up using the rebar that is falling out of the floor. And at the top of the elevator shaft, Taesong opens the door for his friends and gives them instructions for how to escape. To Yeongil's disappointment, Taesong stays behind to help Chaeok, and as he turns around, Lady Maeda is behind him with a gun pointed at his face. He kind of gives her this look like, if you're going to do it, but I have places to be. Mm-hmm. And he just walks past her without giving her a second thought, and her hand shakes and she makes no move to fire at him. That was a good moment.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing she feared the most, was becoming insignificant to him. And that's what he was saying to her, was
the whole time.
You mean nothing to
right.
me. He borrowed some notes from our friend Do Kyung-seok. Topic 6, the love of a mother.
So Chaeok is in the water and she doesn't have much time left, especially as the temperature is continuing to drop. And outside the tank, Scary Dude is told in about 3 minutes the temperature will have dropped low enough for her to go into cardiac arrest. As this is happening, we see Taesong is running to this room. But Chaeok is just thinking about how there were so many things she wanted to tell Taesong, the things that she wanted to do with him, just hold him again. And her body is failing, and as it fails, the branches that her mother had once enveloped her with appears, and they hold her again. And Scary Dude just stands there watching and just is like, what is happening? Because this is new.
This. Yeah.
Not knowing that this is an old, quote-unquote, mutation from 80 years before.
And not only that, but her Najin is supposed to be asleep. It's not supposed to be functioning and regenerating like this.
Then we cut to SeungJo, and he is staring at Lady Maeda, and he begins to confront her for all of her actions. She wanted him dead, right? She's the one who sent the Kukuros. Did she ever see him as a son? And Lady Maeda tells him that your obsession over trivial relationships is a prison that is made for humans. It makes you vulnerable and expendable. I raised you better than that. You're so disappointing for wanting a relationship. When he tells her that to have disappointment meant that you had expectations for me. He then pushes her, he stabs her with his tentacle arm and tells her that he is the monster that she raised and he will do better. And he begins to push her back as she shoots him multiple times. And he brings her to a stop and then pushes her into the hole that is in the bottom of the observation room. And she lands, and as she lands, anthrax begins to fill the air. And it begins to land on Lady Maeda, burning her. And she just watches it and says, how lovely.
This is so poetic.
Yes.
It's just everything that she considered weakness were the strengths of our main characters.
Mm-hmm.
Love of a mother, love of a child, the love of a companion, the love of homeland. Those are all the motivations that we see our characters, their convictions center around these things, and have kept them alive, essentially, in spite of the fact that she has done everything that she could to try to kill them.
To destroy it, yeah.
And I think she just wishes she had that. Little does she know, she probably could have, especially with Taesong. If she had just like chilled the freak out for a minute and stopped trying to kill everybody, it would have been great.
Right.
But we wouldn't have a story, would we?
No. We would not.
The fact that she gets thrown into this prison that she had created, surrounded by no one, alone. The anthrax, just very slowly burning her flesh away from the sleeping creature.
Yeah.
And it just being an unceremonious death, much like the deaths of the countless lives that she had taken. I think she saw it as a relief.
Yeah, to be done fighting it.
Yeah. Because her empire crumbled.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just such a good scene, and then it just goes downhill from here. So topic 7, legacy. Korean Drax is a battering ram that Taesong uses to try to break the glass. But Taesong looks up at Cheok. His humanity is slipping from him as the panic starts to set in. And you see the veins go through his forehead. But he punches the glass in desperation, recalling a moment of intimacy from days past. And the glass breaks, washing both of them away. We cut to 3 men escaping Jeonsung, and Jonghyuk looks afraid. The captain tells him that he will have to take responsibility, but the captain would help him get a reduced sentence. But before he can really finish that thought, Jonghyuk has disappeared. As the team comes to the captain's aid, he recognizes that there is a wristwatch on one of the people who are trying to hold him up, and it's the police plant. The plant asks if... Spy. I'm going to say the spy.
The spy.
The spy asked the captain if it was only the captain and Yeongil that had escaped. And he kind of pauses. And then he's like, yeah, it was just the 2 of us that escaped Jeonsung. A scary dude walks into the water tank room to find Cheok and Taesong are gone, and her Najin is dead on the floor.
Because he wanted that Najin. After seeing the branches that, surrounded Cheok, he decided that's what I want instead. That's a mature Najin that will be more beneficial for what he's wanting.
Very powerful.
Right. And the fact that Najin is dead, so does that mean that they have a certain lifespan?
I just think that it couldn't survive without
a host.
Without a host.
Or was it because it was so mature? And then the water, the glass broke, so then there was water. So did it just die because of...
I would assume
is that what we're assuming?
Because they're always kept in vials.
Or they're always kept in water. Yeah, that's
true. Kind of like fish. They just
a parasite.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what they were insinuating. That's my...
I like it.
But we cut to footage of everyday life. It's the hustle and bustle that we saw in episode 1 at the end of the episode. But all of the Jeonsung biotech ads are replaced with news of their corruption. Search and seizure conducted against Jeonsung biotech. Investigation into illegal experimentation. Multiple tip-offs of human experimentation. Prosecution summons chairman. And then the last one was a little bit interesting. Human experimentation lab not found. But the Ajumma, the antenna, is making stew. And we kind of pan across a set of photos that are showing, her and her son, and then a photo of her with Mrs. Nawal. Now, we don't know if this is her daughter or granddaughter, or possibly even one of the children that were rescued from the laboratories back in Onsong Hospital. But I have this note that Taesong had returned Nawal's favor. Nawal, who had betrayed his mother, stuck by Taesong's side for his entire life, loyal and caring for him. And then Taesong, who had killed Nawal, had protected and cared for the Ajumma, who is a relation to Nawal. So I really like that we brought that full circle.
Yeah.
That just the love that he has, that those two had for each other is living on now.
Right.
But do you want to finish out the episode?
Sure. So we see Chaeok doing her makeup, and we also see the scar on the back of her neck from where the Najin had escaped, basically. And as she's finishing getting ready, she looks down at a bracelet that we find familiar. And she just kind of looks at it longingly, but also just like, oh, it's so pretty. I got to get ready. And she puts it on, and she's called for breakfast. So then the Ajumma asks her about school and any activities that she has going on. Is she going to be late coming home? And she sees that that Chaeok is wearing the bracelet and asks her if there's any guys who have asked her out. She says no.
She says, I'll get one when I get one.
When it happens, it happens. And we see her walking, and we hear her say, "Sometimes I have this dream. A dream where I chase someone every night, but I don't know who it is, nor can I remember what he looks like. But by the time I wake up, he's gone. My heart my heart aches and yearns for him. Yet spring will soon pass and summer will come again," which is such a beautiful look compared to the first time we hear her.
Winter.
Yeah, will my winter ever end? And as she's walking, she passes a shop and the door opens, and we see someone familiar. She continues to take a few steps forward and eventually stops and turns around and watches this man continue to walk away. He too stops and turns around, and they just kind of stare at each other as if they know one another. And it is Taesong. But she turns and she continues to walk, but turns back again to look at him, and they smile at each other, and she looks at him with tears in her eyes and like a little like, why do I want to like go talk to you?
Similar to the way that he looked at her and started crying for no reason.
Right. And she wonders why she can't place him, and then it goes black, and we hear Taesong say, "And we will be together again." And then credits roll. But we're not done. We see empty halls.
What?
You didn't finish this episode? Oh, no! Kim!
No! I had one job! I literally had one job!
Let me
Tell me
paint a picture for you. I can't believe you didn't.
I'm such an idiot. I should know by now.
It's the empty halls of Gyeongsong Biotech.
This might answer some of my questions.
And SeungJo is in the room full of the vials that contain the Najin.
Okay.
And he is having people pack them into containers. And the chairman is standing behind him, clears his throat, kind of gives him a smirk. And SeungJo just ignores him and tells the people in the room to continue. And we see the camera go up the room, and we just see the shelves just continue.
And it is the tea house.
And it is the tea house. But then as we see like the tops of vials, we see water being poured into bottles, like water bottles being filled. They're being packaged, loaded onto trucks, and distributed in stores. Somebody opens the fridge and grabs a water bottle. End of series.
How did I miss this?
Don't know.
What's wrong with me?
I will pull it up so you can see it. But the question is there a Najin in every bottle? So for Kim, because she failed her homework today.
Hey, I'm just excited I watched 3.
I am very proud of you for that.
What?
Oh, that's not what I want.
You are blowing my mind right now.
Hold on, everybody.
Pause.
I'm gonna let you sit there for a second and process that.
Changes the whole... What?
Yeah.
Okay, well... Okay. Show wrap up. Now that I've seen the whole thing. Character of the show.
Oh.
Do you want me to go first? You got one.
I think it's going to be a tie between Taesong and Chaeok.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't change, even from season 1. I mean, Taesong changed during season 1 of being, I have to survive, I have to survive, I have to survive, to I'm going to fight for my people and fight for those I care about. And he is that person in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Chaeok is a little bit more jaded, but that's because she had to watch everyone die and go through a horrible ordeal by herself. She had to figure out how to live with this Najin in her head. But when it comes to each other, that is always their first priority. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the case even in season 1. Like, once they finally got over themselves enough, like, other than, like, season 1, they had a specific job. We're trying to find these people.
Yeah. They were definitely stronger in a partnership than they were on their own.
Right. But yeah, I love how they always find each other. Now, I have many feelings about the ending, which I still not completely sure.
I gotta do my character to show first.
But I still don't know how I feel, but because of how it ended with those two.
Yeah.
I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it.
Okay, we will get to that, because
I
want to touch back on that.
Who are yours? Who is yours?
This is probably a little bit controversial, but I think Lady Maeda had such a good arc in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
She was a very consistent person in her convictions and who she was and how she thought. And yeah, she valued some lives over others. She just wasn't hugged enough as a child to know how to show that in the right way.
Yeah.
And so she just kind of had to... Her whole thing was like, you're not better than me. Like, I know how you think. You just won't admit it. Anyway. I just thought she was a very compelling character. Yeah. I thought she was a very interesting villain. She was
way more interesting this season. Yeah. In the fewer episodes.
Yeah, getting the history, getting the background. Mm-hmm. I liked her more as a villain. I liked her more as a villain in the current day, mm-hmm. I think. I don't know. She still did a lot of string pulling back then. I just think she was well done.
Because my runner-up would be SeungJo. Honestly. Yeah. I really did like him. I do like him as a character. Like, he's very, very complex.
See, he just made me mad.
Towards the end, he gets more maddening.
I feel like... Okay, we're moving on to final thoughts.
Final thoughts, yeah.
To add to your point, I feel like SeungJo was almost used too much as a throwaway character in some ways, where they used his team switching as the sole, plot mover.
Yeah.
And, there was no justifiable reason for it other than for him to just move the plot along or to give us the twist in the turn. Right. I don't like twists for the sake of being a twist. I want there to be a purpose for it.
The whole pick a side, bro.
Yeah. Because he talks about how he has all of this admiration for who Taesong is as a person and the way that he lives his life, and then he spits on that by falling into this trap with Lady Maeda again. So I just don't...
His character could have been written far more...
I don't get his crossroads... I don't know. I feel like, I think they did him a disservice with the crossroads they provided him. Mm-hmm. I think it should have been more of a moment. He's kind of like an anti-hero.
Yes. But it makes the very end of it even more intriguing.
He's kind of just jokery, where he's like, I'm just going to, sow chaos because I can.
kind of, yeah.
There's really no reason for it other than me just being an impotent little child. Insolent. Dang it.
Didn't you do that for
Stop peeing everywhere, dude.
Didn't you do that for like Goblin?
Yeah, I did.
Was it for Goblin specifically, or was it for like the Choir Reaper? Anyway.
Children are also impotent. I can attest to that. We're potty training. My next final thought.
Yes.
Give us closure. That was such a trash ending in some ways.
Yes.
Unless you're immediately going to release the next 3 episodes like you did for us with season 1.
Yeah.
But there's no space for that. They didn't give us that space with the Cheok Taesong arc unless they're writing them out of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Which I would be okay with. Honestly, if they're going to continue, they need to leave those 2 alone.
I think there's stories, maybe it's a cameo of...
Maybe we see them together.
They, you know...
Like in passing.
Right. It's not like a, surprise, I'm here. It's a, no, we found each other and we happen to fall in love.
Yeah.
Type of ending.
I originally thought, because I accidentally paused my show before I had watched that whole scene. I accidentally paused it when the door was dinging and he walked out. And I was like, that looks a lot like Taesong. And I was like, I wonder if that is him. And so I backed it up and I played it again. I was like, yeah, that was totally Taesong. And then she stops and she turns around and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, if I just kept watching.
If you knew how many times she has said that, texting me a question, and you're like, oh, wait, I should have just kept my mouth shut for like 30 more seconds.
I would have had that question answered.
But it is a very, okay, for everybody at home, I finished this show the week it came out. And I texted Kim and I said, I have feelings about the ending. Knowing that she hadn't gotten that far and I couldn't spoil anything.
She lived in agony for the last 2 months.
Sitting on this of just going, why? Why is this the ending you chose for them? Give us our happy moment.
Here's my theory with that.
But also, like, I don't hate the idea of them finding each other again and it not necessarily being this whole... one continues to have their memory or whatever it is. Maybe they both don't have the Najin anymore and they happen to run into each other and there's just, they feel that connection because they've been in love with each other for 80 years and move on. But I want to see that. I don't want to guess.
Here is the conclusion I've come to.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a love story. This is a tragedy.
Yes.
And it's meant to examine like the human condition and to force you to be introspective about those sorts of things. It was never meant to be a feel-good show, which is why I avoid these like the plague.
I'm sorry.
I had high hopes until, the last episode of the first season where they, tried to kill off the main love interest, and then anyway. This is a tragedy. This is not a love story. It is, it served its purpose in that way. I think it speaks to different types of longing that people have in their lives,
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be a love that you can't have or like a family relationship that is really not what you hoped it would be, or a nation that didn't protect you, just different things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a love story, and that's what I've kind of had to rest on, is that they weren't ever gonna give us the happy ending that we wanted. But
with the new scene that you have now watched for the actual official end of this season, what are your theories and thoughts on this now?
I see that like they allowed SeungJo to choose a side. So obviously the eyes represented, he had his humanity and he had the creature.
Right.
Well, they cut the humanity out and he is only the creature now with his little calico eye.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, he is now the new antagonist if they choose to continue forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to piece together like the metaphor for the creature being in all of us, but it's not coming to me right now because I am still mulling over this whole scene in my brain. But
do you think there's a Najin in every water bottle?
In every water bottle, like ever?
In the ones that they distributed. Or
in the ones that they distributed? Probably.
So.
There were like literally 5 million of them sitting in their laboratories. Which, again, where are they getting them from?
I have no idea.
I'm just picturing like this giant queen Najin that's like constantly shooting out larvae. And anyway.
Kim has been asking this question since episode 2 of season 1. Where are they getting the Najin?
I want to know.
And that question has never been answered.
Then they're not going to answer it for me.
And I couldn't tell you that they weren't going to answer that because...
I'm just picturing like Jabba the Hutt. Just pooping out Najin everywhere. It's awful.
Oh, that's a terrible image.
Yeah. Welcome to my brain. It's awful here. Here's my note to move on. I think that they should have arrested the police plant, the police spy.
Just the
not my ficus. Okay. Anyway. I also think that Jong-hyuk should have been brought in. They literally, every loose end that they could have left, they left it. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it was intentional because that's real life. We don't get the happy little bow wrapped whatever. They also made it sound as if the charges did not stick with Johnson Biotech with that last could not find the human experimentation lab.
Which then begs the question, are they moving locations? Is that why they're packing up?
Well, I don't know, because my question was, will SeungJo take up the mantle? And that was before I had watched that scene, so clearly he has taken up some form of mantle. So now we're Scary Dude. Did he walk away because they couldn't offer him anything? Did he get killed? Did SeungJo kill him?
Did he make off with a mature Najin?
I thought you said make out at first. I was like, what?
No.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
I will say about Cheok's Najin. I didn't like that they killed it off.
Mm-hmm.
Because that
was a representation of her mom.
Yep.
And the protection and the love that she had. Mm-hmm.
So, again, if we're going with everything having a meaning in this show, you can have a happy ending if you abandon your mother. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think that was it.
I have to think this over longer because I've finished the show much more recently than you have. Mm-hmm. But I don't understand the purpose in it.
Yeah.
Yet. They made up this whole big to-do about how remembering the loss and the hardship is the most important thing, and then proceed to make the main characters forget and re-forget and forget again. Like, what? Be consistent, please, for the love of all that is good. That's probably why I liked Lady Maeda, because she was the only one that was just kind of like here.
I'm crazy, I am crazy, I'm crazy, I'll kill anybody, I'm crazy, I'm crazy.
Still crazy.
I'll kill everyone.
Crazy till the end when she was like, yes, death.
It's lovely.
Cool lady, your face is melting, but it's fine. SeungJo's arc was so backwards to me. But I think that it serves kind of as a reminder that sometimes bad people just exist because they like to hurt other people. But yeah. He was like, I'm a good guy.
I'm a bad guy.
I really like Taesung. But no matter how much I like Taesung, I still find myself ending up in Lady Maeda's clutches. And really that's okay because she's kept me alive all this time. And really I'm just going to keep using her. And I don't care about anything or anyone. And it was just stupid. I don't know. What does that ending mean? You said, and we will be together again. They told me, and we will live on again.
Oh, yeah, mine said we'll be together again.
We watched Netflix. We both watched Netflix.
I know. I don't understand. There's times literally where, like, okay, the letter that Chaeok's dad wrote to her to tell her
that
goodbye.
one I
Season
paraphrased, though.
Right, but there's been enough times where we've watched, I mean, we watched the same show, obviously.
Do we?
I mean,
Because I didn't watch all of it.
you didn't fall asleep.
I must have. It was 1 in the morning.
But there are times where what you have as the translation, I don't have.
Yeah.
Oh, it's more often than not, because I'm like, wow, I did not read that one.
Yeah, I've noticed that a couple of times too, and more often than not, it's between like Viki and Netflix that we have that issue. But this is the first I've run into such a blatant Netflix versus Netflix translation difference. That was because that really changes the meaning to me. And We Will Live On speaks more to like the endurance of the people in the face of adversity versus And We Will Be Together Again, which is about like fated love,
Them being together.
that changes. That's two different stories,
Right.
two different motifs, two different endings. Which one? Yours would insinuate that
They're
they
gonna
had
end
their
up
happy
together.
ending,
Right.
and mine would insinuate like even if they don't, which they probably won't because she's off being a college student and he has a worm in his neck.
Casual.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know. I liked my translation because it
I like
speaks
yours
to
better.
my theory that this is not a romance story.
This is a tragedy.
It's It really is. I mean, I'm sure if I knew more about Shakespeare, I could relate it back to one of those, but I don't.
Overall, though, I did like this season.
I think I liked it better in some ways and worse in others.
Yeah, it was a new, like, it again didn't end how we wanted because it is a tragedy, but it was just as intriguing and just as like pull you in as season 1, and that's really rare to do with a show like this.
Their pacing was a lot of that. Keeping it the 7 episodes was helpful in that regard.
But still, that's a very intense story.
It is.
To squeeze into 7 episodes.
Yeah.
That were under an hour.
I will say the things that made me feel the most emotion, the things that I connected with the most as a viewer were still the moments that he was in the past with House of Gold and Treasure. And I think that's why I prefer the first season to the second season, is that I didn't feel like the connection to the story in the same way, like the desperation. Because there was kind of that wall up between the imminent danger and the characters, in the sense that the Na gene existed there between that. Because they could regenerate. They didn't really die. There was nothing at stake in terms of them just like dying. Right. Which was constantly what we were worried about in season 1.
Yeah.
And so the stakes just didn't feel the same for our characters.
As it did the first time.
As it did the first season. I liked the action-y stuff a lot more. I'm not a big period drama person, so I like modern day dramas.
For that, yeah.
For that reason. And I really did like SeungJo. It's just, I felt confused about him more than I needed to be.
Yeah, I agree that they did him a disservice of, like, what a complex character he could have been.
Yeah. I think they should have just kept him at arm's length. I don't know. Maybe the longer I sit with his arc, the more I might be like, okay, I see why they did that. But right now I'm just like, I don't like the way you did that.
That's fair.
Probably because I got attached to the idea of him being a good guy.
Because of his relationship with Taesung.
Just kidding.
Joke.
Hate you. Yeah, I hate you too. Anyway. All right, well, that is season 4.
Oh my goodness.
Of the KDrama Show.
Quick shout out to our follower, Sierra Marie 016 on Instagram. Thank you. We love you. Okay, well, season 4 is done.
On to the next thing.
Yikes. Wow.
Yikes.
Yikes, more of just like planning.
I mean, I have the plan.
I know, but it's the implementing of the plan.
I know. It'll be
Great.
It'll be a learning curve for both of us. It's all trial and error. We've discussed this. Every season we do something different, so
It makes it more fun. Or
more stressful.
Shows our insanity.
What?
Or it shows our insanity of like, yeah, let's do this now instead, and just...
I'm good with it. Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Yes.
There is no recording of that.
There is on the microphones. No video evidence.
Nobody. There's no receipts.
No receipts.
Like what you're hearing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any new episodes. We'd love to connect with you on our Instagram at the KDrama Show. For more behind-the-scenes content, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Links are in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out with us on the KDrama Show with Ashley and Kim, and we'll see you next time.